the 1980s, consumer culture and the fame of celebrities in the sports industry had reached new heights. There was something on the horizon, something that would push this to an entirely new level. The release of the Air Jordans would mark a turning point in sneaker history, fusing the identity of the athlete with a product in a way so unique that it hasn't been successfully recreated ever since, despite many companies' attempts. The Air Jordans would create cultural shockwaves, changing the role of shoes in our lives. It would serve as a status symbol, thus creating sneakerhead subcultures and a new way of self-expression for generations to come. Back in 1917, Converse released the All-Stars, a basketball shoe that, like the Air Jordans, became a fan favorite in the shoe market. They were given the nickname Chuck Taylors, after the ex-basketball player who went across the US promoting them. Unlike Jordan and his shoe line, however, Chuck himself has been obscured over time. Many now have no idea who Taylor even was, or why his name is connected to the All-Star shoes. His brand grew with the shoe even as his persona, the real persona, was lost. In the 1970s, Adidas partnered with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to create the Abdul-Jabbar Whites. Compared to Chuck Taylor, Kareem's image is still recognizable to this day.
It's the ball into Kareem, swing left to right hand, 8-footer is good.
But his shoes simply weren't able to achieve the same level of fame and cultural impact that the Air Jordans and Nike were able to maintain for decades. But before Nike was the company it is today, it went by the name of Blue Ribbon Sports. Founded in 1964 by Phil Knight and Bill Bowerman, Blue Ribbon Sports catered to the needs of track athletes. They quickly gained traction for their unique waffle iron soles, and within a decade, Nike became a formidable competitor in the shoe market. However, Nike was caught by surprise as regular people started incorporating sports into their daily lives during the 70s and 80s. Demand increased for aerobic, tennis, and most importantly, basketball shoes. Nike, which had been focusing mainly on track shoes, was falling behind and needed to find a way to catch up to their competitors. In the 70s, the NBA had a reputation for drug peddling and bad ethics, making professional basketball harder to market to a largely white audience. New players Magic Johnson and Larry Bird quickly changed the perception of the NBA for white audiences.
Excited about the big crowd and about being here in Boston for my first time.
It's going to be a big game, a lot of enthusiasm throughout the crowd, and I just hope the best team wins today.
Their non-threatening personas garnered new attention to the league, which would later be crucial to Nike's return to success. In fact, Nike's savior would be found in the spring of 1984.
A freshman from Wilmington, North Carolina, number 23, Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, one of the best players out of college, was drafted by the Chicago Bulls, officially entering the professional basketball scene with a significant amount of stardom. Nike would later use this to attract the attention of consumers and the media. Nike's quest to sign Jordan didn't go so smoothly at first.
Up to that point, my favorite shoe was an Adidas shoe, and at the time that everybody was starting recruiting me about what shoes to wear, I was pro Adidas, the whole time.
Jordan was split, unable to decide who he wanted to sign with. Ultimately, he decided to sign with Nike following the advice of his family, marking the start of a long-lasting relationship between him and the company. The first thing that Michael Jordan and Nike set out to make was the Air Jordan 1, which released towards the end of March 1985. The shoes and the Jumpman logo, which was adapted from Peter Moore, instantly became an icon. The new logo was especially unique because it linked the identity of Jordan to the shoe through his iconic imagery. Jordan was now a part of the shoe, and the shoe was a part of Jordan. One of the first advertisements Nike ran for the Air Jordan 1 implied that the shoes had been banned by the NBA. Nike claimed that the shoes violated the 51% rule, where shoes have to be either 51% white or black and match the team's uniform.
The NBA threw them out of the game. Fortunately, the NBA can't stop you from wearing them.
However, the date on a letter from the NBA to Nike mentions that the actual date of violation was October 1984. During this time, Jordan was still wearing the Nike Airships, a prototype of the Air Jordans. In fact, he wouldn't go on to wear his Jordans until the 1985 dunk contest on February 10th, 1985.
Our first finalist from the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan.
Nevertheless, by giving their shoes a reputation for being banned, they became a sort of forbidden fruit. Many, even celebrities, were attracted to the shoe's rebellious history, helping Nike quickly quickly rise again in popularity through a new wave of sales. Nike's profits and the shoe market as a whole immediately saw an increase after the release of the Air Jordan 1s. Based on Nike's financial reports from the year, their profits increased 40% from $51 million to $71 million just 3 months after the release of the shoe. This success pulled Nike out of their downward spiral, making Nike one of the most successful shoe companies, a success that would last to this day. Through Nike's sales, we can see that kids looked up to Michael Jordan as a role model. This is well exemplified through Gatorade's Be Like Mike campaign. The message behind it being, if you wanted to reach Jordan's level of success and rise to greatness, you would have to emulate Jordan himself. Jordan also kept his opinions out of the public view, preventing politics from alienating fans at the cost of bringing awareness to issues in the African American community.
You know, when I was playing, my vision, my tunnel vision, was my craft. I was a professional basketball player, and I tried to do that the best I could.
This mentality helped make Air Jordans a status symbol for all, representing one of the first steps in becoming like Jordan, regardless of race or background. Unfortunately, many people became overly obsessed with the shoes, even if they couldn't afford them. Kids were pressured into buying them, as many adolescents felt that the shoes helped them fit in with the growing streetwear and fashion trends. This obsession around the shoes ultimately led kids and adults alike to fight each other and ensure they got their hands on a pair of Jordans too. Air Jordans brought the worst out of people. Its appeal could become detrimental to its community. The popularity of the Air Jordans also led Nike to subcontract their product to overseas factories in Pakistan and Indonesia, where many workers live in horrible conditions, with many of these workers also being children. There was a big scandal when Nike was ultimately exposed, leading to a new wave of activism against overseas factory abuses in Southeast Asia. Under growing public scrutiny, Nike took steps to ensure better labor practices. However, many issues still persist today. Although it is debated whether Air Jordan's effects on society are good or bad, it is undeniable that it changed the relationship between people and their shoes. In the words of Dr. Thilo Kunkel,
yeah, they're my friends, but hey, I'm still a unique individual. I have values, I have beliefs. And clothing, the type of brands we wear or the type of shoes we wear, is one way to demonstrate our uniqueness.
For example, using Air Jordans, Brian Jungen was able to create artwork paying tribute to both his Native American ancestry and contemporary culture. He tore up Air Jordans and fashioned them into masks similar to ones from his culture. Shoes became a medium for self-expression, especially for a person's beliefs and backgrounds. As more people saw shoes in a new light, a new community developed. Coined the sneakerheads, people started widely collecting sneakers as a passion or reselling them as a hobby or a way to earn money. Many of the people in this community have mentioned that the Air Jordans were one of the main shoes that pushed them to join, showing how the Air Jordans were revolutionary in creating a new culture surrounding shoes.
I think the sneaker culture is always evolving in Chicago. It started with my dad, obviously, in 1984, and you know, him and Nike kind of developing the Retro 1. And I think from there, it's just every year, every week, it just kind of evolves and becomes something bigger than what they originally thought it would be.
The Air Jordan success led both athletes and companies alike to be more open in endorsement deals, hoping to recreate the same success Nike had with Jordan. Companies are now more willing to sign unproven rookies and stick with older veterans, a new level of risk-taking that saw a departure from the previously exacting and meticulous nature of major companies. In the hunt to find the next Jordan, companies are also now willing to sign more African-American athletes, paving the way for the likes of LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and others to get their own shoe deals. Deals where they now have the creativity to add what they want in a shoe, rather than going with what the company makes. Air Jordans continue to outperform all other sneakers on the market to this day, despite our efforts to recreate their success. However, this economic success is not without consequence. Nike sweatshops have not completely disappeared and still impact many lives. The high prices of the Air Jordans have also motivated violence amongst the youth and drained the wallets of those who can't afford it. However, the Air Jordan's meteoric rise to fame allowed it to change the roles in our daily lives. It kicked off sneakerhead communities, to whom Jordans became an integral item. Its connection to Michael Jordan made it a status symbol, attracting millions and giving them a little taste of what it was like to be Mike. Especially with the advent of the Air movie, chronicling Nike's signing of Jordan, we can see that the Air Jordans are still a significant part of our modern-day world. The aesthetics, the history, and the culture provide a lot to appreciate. Maybe the next time that you see a pair of Air Jordans, you'll stop and think about how it all happened.